So today I want to talk about plot twists because, especially as a beginning author, for me, having a plot twist was a very difficult thing to do because what I wanted to try and do was fool my readers. And it's so difficult because you have to get inside of your reader's head and say, what are their expectations as we're going along here? Agatha Christie was a genius at that, and I'm not Agatha Christie. For one thing, I'm too young. And I kept thinking about it because the stories that made some of the greatest impressions on me had some of the biggest plot twists. And I'm not going to say what any of them were because I'm not a plot spoiler like that. But I tried to figure out for myself how I could make a plot twist that actually worked. And that's a difficult thing. And I'm sure you've come across this. It's like, how do I do something that's not so obvious? How do I lay enough clues out in advance that I'm playing fairly and not just doing like a Sherlock Holmes where you have to have somebody stupid over here and somebody smart over here, and the smart person tells you absolutely everything that the stupid person missed, and that's the only way that he can say, oh yes, I'm so much smarter than you. It just felt unfair saying, oh yeah, I saw the tobacco stain on the floor. That's not a plot twist. But that was the only thing I could think of, was hiding things from my readers, and that just didn't work. And another way that I tried thinking of plot twists was, what can I say far enough in advance and then come back to it later? And then people have to go back to way early in the book and say, oh, well, duh, he told me right there. But even then, it was really hard to come up with something that actually worked. I was very fortunate in that one of my earliest novels that I wrote, I didn't publish it because it was a fan fiction, but it was a full-length novel. I was struggling to figure out, okay, how can I make everything come together? Because I'd written myself into a corner, and then just being at work one day, I said, well, wait a second. What if this was all according to plan? Like, what if the general pieces of this were laid out so far in advance and it could be counted on to go a certain way because it required very few moving pieces and only one piece needed to be controlled or led at any point? And from there, my plot fixed itself, and I spent the next 20 minutes sitting down on a wooden cart and giggling to myself because I thought, wow, I'm a genius, and I realized I couldn't do that again. I can't play it where, oh, everything's going to be fine in the end because it was all according to plan. That was just, it felt cheap to me the more I thought about doing it. And so, when I came to my most recent novel that I'm working on getting published, it's a completed story, and there's this big identity reveal in the whole, that the whole plot hinges around. And I was thinking to myself, readers are going to see the little clues that I sprinkle along the way because I can't just give a single clue that then my main character has to keep following that one clue, and she remembers, oh yeah, it was back like 16 weeks ago. I saw that, it should have been clear. But I wanted it to be a summation, like very dramatic, realizing, oh, great, this is not good. And I came up with a solution that I think works really well. And I said, I'm not going to try to fool the reader. Let me reiterate that. I'm not going to try to fool the reader. Because the more I try to do that, the more it's just going to look like I'm patting myself on the back. I said, what if the point of the story isn't to fool the reader, it's to fool the characters? And that actually freed me up to do a lot more work, not writing a huge plot twist that makes it, that you go back and you see everything and you go, wait a second, now it all makes sense. Because I figured I can't control what my readers do and don't figure out. But I can control what my characters see and hear and think about and where they put their focus. And so I allowed myself to write in those little clues, like he had bruised his hand in one persona, and then you saw him shaking it out in the other one. And I didn't comment on it because to the main character, this wasn't necessarily anything worth commenting on. People bruise their hands. And so what I ended up doing was not focusing on, oh, look at this clever plot twist. I said, this is now a main part of the story, not how the plot twist happens or how the plot twist is caught, but how the plot twist is coped with. And that actually worked a lot better. And so that's what I want to advise you on. If you're trying to figure out a good plot twist for your story, and you want it to be a good plot twist, first of all, figure out who in the story needs to be fooled. And second, figure out what it would take to fool them, which it might just be they don't want to think about the repercussions of this, of what would happen if this was a twist. You know, Luke doesn't want to think about what would happen, what it's going to mean if Darth Vader is his father. Plot twist. And do your best to fool your characters. And you don't have to go into deep plot twisty land in order to do that, because you already control your characters. Don't try to fool your audience, because, and this is something that I found really fun from a lot of my beta readers, they said, I can see it coming and I just don't know how she's going to react to discovering this. And I figured that that is a more appealing draw to a plot. Not, oh my, what a plot twist, but more, how is this going to change my character's decisions? And I found that I actually had a lot more fun doing that, and it was a lot less frustrating. So if you're going to try to fool anybody, fool your main characters. If your audience gets fooled along the way, awesome. But give yourself a little bit of leeway. Give yourself as much leeway as you need. I recommend, if you want to do a plot twist, fool your characters, not your audience. And your audience will probably follow right along. This is Chris Schallert. I'm an author, blogger, musician, philosopher, and creator. And I hope that this helps you out.